You don't create a better life by waiting for it to happen. You create it by building better habits. That single idea might be exactly what you need to hear right now, because where you are today is a direct result of the habits you practice every day, how you act, how you think, how you respond, and how you show up. If you've been feeling stuck, confused, or mentally exhausted, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your daily habits aren't helping you. They're holding you back. Here's the truth that changes everything. You can completely reshape your mindset by changing what you do each day. Not next year, not next month, today. This audiobook guides you through 10 positive habits designed to rewire how you think. These aren't complicated theories. They're simple, practical habits you can apply in real life to think more clearly, feel stronger, stay focused, and finally move forward. Even practicing one of them can shift your life. Commit to all 10, and everything can transform. No exaggeration, no empty talk, just real change and real progress. Chapter 1. Wake up with purpose and stop wasting time. Waking up with purpose may sound basic, but it's one of the most powerful changes you can make. Every day, people wake up without direction, no urgency, no clarity, no reason behind what they do. That's where most people fall behind, not because they lack intelligence or talent, but because they treat the day like it doesn't matter. And when you live that way, time slips through your fingers. You need to wake up as if your life depends on it, because it does. You'll never get this day back. These hours are gone forever once they pass. If you don't use them to build something meaningful, they disappear. That realization should shake you. Time is your life. When you waste time, you waste pieces of your own future. This isn't about staying busy. It's about being intentional. It's about waking up and saying, this is what I'm doing today, and this is why. That clarity changes everything. It sharpens your focus, fuels your energy, and helps you eliminate distractions. Your actions become stronger and more deliberate. Most people live on autopilot, same habits, same thoughts, same excuses, and then wonder why nothing improves. Living with purpose means you stop letting the world control your time. You take responsibility for your day. Successful people don't drift through life. They choose their direction, starting the moment they wake up. They don't scroll endlessly, hit snooze repeatedly, or wander through the morning. They move with intention. Purpose lights a fire inside you. When you know what you're working toward, motivation becomes unnecessary. Most people wait to feel inspired before they act. Purpose-driven people act first, and the motivation follows. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. You create the moment by doing what needs to be done. Each morning, ask yourself, what am I building today? Not what's convenient, not what feels easy. What are you building? You build confidence by keeping promises to yourself. You build strength by confronting what you avoid. You build your future by doing something today that your future self will appreciate. That's what real purpose looks like. It's not a mood, it's a decision backed by discipline. If you continue waking up without a plan, you'll stay trapped in the same cycle, feeling drained, unmotivated, and stuck. Life isn't unfair. A lack of intention is the real problem. A better life begins when you take control of your mornings and start treating your time like the priceless resource it is. And that starts now. Your life begins to shift the moment you do. Your purpose doesn't have to be some massive, dramatic calling. Start where you are. Start honestly. Maybe it's improving your health. Maybe it's building discipline. Maybe it's starting a business, fixing your finances, or changing the way you think. Whatever it is, connect it to what you do every single day. Make it matter now, because if it doesn't matter today, it never will. Stop living like you're always getting ready to begin. That's how people lose years of their lives. Treat your time the way you treat money. You wouldn't hand your last dollar to someone who didn't earn it, so why give your last hour to things that don't help you grow? Think about it. Time is your real currency. Spend it carefully. Invest it in habits, thoughts, and actions that move you forward. Every time you use your time with intention, you create momentum. Momentum turns into progress. Progress builds confidence, and confidence reshapes your mindset. but it all starts when you stop wasting time. Tomorrow morning, don't reach for your phone. Don't check notifications. Sit quietly for a moment. Breathe. Ask yourself, what truly deserves my focus today? Not what's urgent, not what others expect, what actually matters to me. That single question can change your direction. Write the answer down. Set your focus. Begin the day with control, not reaction. You won't always feel motivated. That's normal. Discipline isn't about feelings. It's about doing what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. Over time, that behavior becomes part of who you are. Your habits create your identity. If you want to be strong, act strong when no one is watching. If you want to be focused, remove distractions and do the work. It starts small, but repetition makes it permanent. People talk about success like it's a mystery, but it isn't. It's consistency with the right habits. Waking up with intention, respecting your time, holding yourself accountable. That's it. Simple, but not easy. And that's why most people never change. They want results without routine. But you're not most people. You're here because you know there's more. You know you've delayed enough dreams. You've talked yourself out of progress too many times, and now you're done. Wake up with a mission. Act like today matters, because it does. Someone is counting on you. Even if no one says it, your future is waiting for you to show up, and it only appears when you do. So tomorrow, give yourself a fresh start. Wake up earlier, clear your mind, move with purpose. Begin rebuilding your life one habit at a time. The first habit is simple. Wake up with intention and stop wasting time. Get that right, and everything else starts to align. Chapter 2. Plan your day before the world distracts you. Planning your day before distractions take over is one of the smartest decisions you can make for your growth, your peace, and your future. The moment you get out of bed, everything around you competes for your attention. Messages, notifications, demands, thoughts pulling you in every direction. If you don't take control first, the world will do it for you. Most people live in reaction mode. They don't choose how their day unfolds. They respond to whatever appears. They check their phone, answer messages, scroll endlessly, and follow someone else's priorities. By the end of the day, nothing important gets done. Goals stay unfinished, stress builds, the mind feels crowded, and time seems to vanish. You can't live like that if you're serious about change. Rewiring your mindset, your focus, your habits, all of it depends on how you begin your day. Planning sets the tone. It keeps you grounded. It ensures you work on what truly matters instead of just staying busy. Being busy isn't the same as making progress. You can be busy all day and still fall behind. But when you plan with intention, your actions move you forward before the noise starts. That's why you need silence, not just around you, but inside your mind. That shift happens when you take a few moments each morning to decide what truly matters. You sit down with a notebook and write your top 3 priorities for the day. You choose what comes first. You think through how you'll use your time. You block space for deep work and protect time for focus. When you do this, you stop letting life happen randomly. You take control. Most people don't realize it, but planning your day gives you power. It puts you in charge. When you plan ahead, there's no guessing. You don't waste time wondering what to do next. You already know.
That's the line between progress and procrastination. People who improvise often waste time. People who plan build results. Planning also lowers anxiety. Your mind feels overwhelmed when it's trying to remember everything at once. But when you spend 5 to 10 minutes in the morning writing down what needs to be done, when it needs to happen, and what deserves your focus, your mind relaxes. You gain clarity. You stop overthinking because now there's structure, and structure brings calm. It doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need fancy tools or multiple apps. You just need intention. Wake up, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what must I do today to move closer to the life I want? That question sets your standard. It cuts through distractions. When you know what matters, you stop chasing what doesn't. People lose hours every day because they never decide what's important. They bounce from task to task, notification to notification, reacting and scrolling until their energy is gone. But imagine starting the day already knowing where your effort belongs. That's how progress happens. That's how you end the day feeling proud instead of disappointed. Planning builds discipline. It teaches you to respect your time. You stop waiting for motivation and start trusting structure. When something is scheduled, you don't debate it, you honor it. That schedule becomes a promise to yourself, and that's crucial. Commitment, not just to tasks, but to growth. You can't grow in chaos. You need space to think and time to execute. That starts with a plan. Look at your day and ask, where will my energy go? What am I avoiding that needs attention? Who do I need to follow up with? What distractions must I cut today? These questions sharpen you. They keep you focused and moving forward. Planning also helps habits stick. Habits don't form through repetition alone. They form through clarity. You're far more likely to follow through when you know exactly when and how you'll act. Saying, I want to read more isn't enough. Saying, I'll read from 7 to 7:30 tonight makes it real. You've created space. That's how habits take root. Don't depend on willpower. Depend on structure. Depend on clarity. Because life will get messy, and when it does, your plan is what keeps you steady. It's what keeps you moving even on the hard days. If you only act when you feel good, you won't go far. But if you plan your time, results will come whether you feel motivated or not. Here's the reality. If you don't control your time, someone else will, and they usually don't have your best interests in mind. That's why ownership must begin first thing in the morning. Your goals, your mental health, your energy all depend on how you use your time, and it starts with a plan. When you plan ahead, your mindset sharpens, your confidence grows, you stop feeling scattered, you stop ending the day wondering where the time went. That consistency builds a new identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's always behind and start seeing yourself as someone in control, someone focused, disciplined, and intentional. And that's powerful. Because when you change how you use your time, you change how you live. And when you change how you live, your results change too. Planning your day may seem small, but it affects everything. Your work, your health, your goals, your relationships, and how you feel at night. It's not just a habit, it's a foundation. So if you want to rewire your mindset, start here. Tomorrow morning, plan your day before the world pulls you in. Sit quietly, write your priorities, choose your focus, then step into your day with strength, control, and direction. That's how you stop just surviving your days and start building your life, one clear plan at a time. Chapter 3. Talk to yourself like someone you respect. This one change can transform how you think, how you act, and how you experience life. Every day there's a conversation happening in your mind. From the moment you wake up, you're talking to yourself. You judge, you compare, you criticize. You question your worth. And most people don't even realize how harsh that inner voice has become. It feels normal because it's familiar, but it's often impatient, negative, and unforgiving. The truth is, if another person spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, you wouldn't tolerate it for long. Yet we keep listening to that inner voice because we were never taught how to speak to ourselves with the same respect we give to others. If you want to change your mindset, it has to begin with changing the language inside your head. You can't build confidence by constantly putting yourself down. You can't grow stronger while feeding your mind with doubt. And you can't create a better life if you keep telling yourself you don't deserve one. The way you talk to yourself shapes how you see yourself, and how you see yourself determines what you believe is possible. Start paying attention to the words you use in your own thoughts. Would you speak that way to a close friend you respect? Would you tell someone you care about that they're useless, lazy, or not good enough? Would you mock them for trying something new or failing once? Of course not. So why do you allow that treatment toward yourself? That habit needs to stop.
It doesn't help you, it limits you, it keeps you small, and if you don't change it, it becomes your identity. Respecting yourself mentally isn't about arrogance or pretending you're flawless. It's about offering yourself the same patience, kindness, and encouragement you freely give others. You've made mistakes. Everyone has. You've failed before. So has everyone. But you're still here. You're still pushing forward. That matters. That deserves respect. That deserves better words in your mind. When you speak to yourself with respect, everything shifts. Your posture changes. Your choices become braver. You start believing that change is possible. You stop accepting situations that drain you. You begin choosing what strengthens you instead of what breaks you. And it all starts with one adjustment: your inner voice. Negative self-talk can spiral fast. One small mistake becomes "I always mess up." One missed goal turns into "I never finish anything." That kind of thinking kills progress. It turns temporary setbacks into permanent labels, and before you realize it, you're carrying shame that was never yours to begin with. Respect means being honest without being cruel. You can acknowledge mistakes without calling yourself a failure. You can want to improve without believing you're broken. Your mind listens to everything you say, even the jokes. When you label yourself lazy, your mind records it. When you tell yourself you're not smart enough, your mind accepts it. And when a belief is repeated often enough, it starts driving your behavior. That's why replacing destructive self-talk with supportive language is critical. You don't need fake positivity, you need truth that builds strength. Start catching those automatic negative thoughts. Don't let them run unchecked. When you hear, "I'm bad at this," replace it with, "I'm still learning and I'll improve." When your mind says, "I can't handle this," change it to, "This is difficult, but I've handled difficult things before." That's not motivational fluff, that's mental conditioning. That's how you rewire your thinking. Think about how you speak to a child who's learning. You don't yell when they fall. You don't insult them for not understanding right away. You encourage them, you guide them. You say, "Try again, you're doing well, keep going." Now ask yourself, when was the last time you spoke to yourself that way? Every time you tear yourself down, you reinforce the belief that you're not enough. But every time you speak to yourself with respect and encouragement, you reinforce the truth that growth is possible. And that truth will carry you through the hardest moments of your life. Respectful self-talk also builds mental toughness, the kind you'll need when things get hard.
You'll need it when people doubt you, when progress feels slow, when fear creeps in. If your mind turns against you in those moments, you'll quit. But if your inner voice stays steady, calm, and clear, you'll keep going. You'll remind yourself why you started. You'll tell yourself, "This is worth it." That inner strength becomes your shield, built one thought at a time. Some people think being harsh on themselves creates discipline, but there's a difference between discipline and self-disrespect. Discipline says, "I expect more from myself because I know my potential." Disrespect says, "I'm not good enough, so there's no point." One builds you up, the other slowly wears you down. If you want consistency and resilience, you need discipline without abuse. You need to challenge yourself, but with respect. Become the voice you needed during your hardest moments. Talk to yourself like someone who's growing, not like someone trapped in the same cycle forever. Remind yourself how far you've come. Speak about your goals as if they matter, because they do. Acknowledge your effort, not just the final result. That's how you build trust with yourself, and self-trust is what creates real confidence. Confidence doesn't come from accomplishments alone, it comes from the relationship you build with yourself. When you speak with honesty, patience, and encouragement, you become your own support system. And when you support yourself, you stop needing constant approval from others. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing judgment. You move through life with quiet strength because deep down, you know you won't abandon yourself. You won't get everything right. There will be days you fall short. There will be moments when negative thoughts rush back in. That's part of being human. What matters is your response. Do you stay stuck in that thinking, or do you pause, correct it, and replace it with something stronger? Every correction moves you forward. Every kind thought lays another brick. And over time, those old patterns lose their power. So pay attention to how you speak to yourself. Notice the tone, notice the words, notice the energy behind them. Start building a habit of self-respect in your inner dialogue. Speak like someone who wants to see you succeed. Speak like someone who believes in your potential. Speak like someone who understands there's work to do, but also knows you're capable of doing it. You're with yourself every second of your life. You hear every thought. Make sure those words move you forward instead of holding you back. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be real. And being real means treating yourself with dignity, even in struggle. That's the shift that rewires your mindset. That's the habit that separates who you were from who you're becoming. You've listened to doubt long enough. Now it's time to build something better. One word at a time, one thought at a time, one decision at a time. Speak to yourself with respect, and you'll become someone you respect. That's where real change begins. Chapter 4. Take action when your mind says delay. That moment when your thoughts start telling you to wait, to put it off, to do it later, that moment is where your future is decided. Not tomorrow, not next week, right then. When an idea shows up and your mind resists, that resistance is the barrier between who you are and who you could be. Most people lose this battle not because they're weak, but because they believe the delay. They trust the voice that says, "Not now," and they don't realize that voice is the very thing keeping them stuck. Delay doesn't always look like fear. Sometimes it sounds reasonable. "I'm tired today. I'll be more ready tomorrow. This isn't the right time. I just need a little rest first." It sounds logical. It even feels protective. But underneath, it's just hesitation wearing a disguise. And if you don't challenge that habit, it grows. The more you delay, the more natural it feels. Eventually, hesitation becomes routine, and you stop trusting yourself to follow through. You can't build a life through hesitation.
You can't grow through avoidance. You can't become your best self while constantly postponing the work. That's why this habit, acting the moment your mind says delay, is a breakthrough. It's not about motivation, it's about response. Those first few seconds when your brain says pause, that's when you move. Not because it feels good, but because you've chosen to be someone who follows through anyway. The real battle is internal. You already know what needs to be done. You've thought about it, you've planned it, but when the moment arrives, you start negotiating. That's the trap. Your mind tries to bargain its way out of discomfort, and every time you give in, the habit gets stronger. You have to move faster than your excuses. The window is short, sometimes only seconds. In that moment, you either act or your mind steps in and pulls you back into delay. And here's the truth. Every time you act, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen discipline. You teach your brain that you're in charge. You don't need ideal conditions. You don't need high energy. You don't need more time. You just need to begin. That single choice creates momentum, and momentum is powerful. Once you start, things shift. Energy shows up. Clarity returns. What once felt heavy suddenly feels manageable. The hardest part was never the work, it was starting. Think about how much could already be done if you had acted when the moment arrived. The conversation you keep avoiding, the task you keep postponing, the goal you promised yourself you'd start months ago. They aren't unfinished because you lack knowledge or time. They're unfinished because of delay. Procrastination steals more dreams than failure ever will. The longer you wait, the heavier things feel. A simple task turns into a mental burden. A short job becomes an emotional weight, and eventually that weight turns into guilt. You start asking yourself why you can't just do it. But it's not about ability, it's about patterns. Your brain learned comfort. It built a habit that says, if it's uncomfortable, avoid it. But you're not here to stay comfortable. You're here to grow, and growth lives on the other side of action. You will never feel completely ready. Stop waiting for that feeling. Most breakthroughs happen when you move forward despite resistance. Your mind wants safety. Your deeper self wants expansion. That's why there's conflict inside you. But every time you choose action over delay, you become stronger. You become someone you can rely on, someone who isn't controlled by hesitation. There's real power in doing small things immediately. Getting up when the alarm rings, sending the message you've been avoiding, starting the workout, opening the book, sitting down to work. These moments may seem small, but they matter. They're proof that you follow through, and that consistency reshapes your identity. When you act despite resistance, your self-respect grows. You stop seeing yourself as someone who quits and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. That identity shift is what drives long-term change. You can only truly respect yourself when your actions match your goals, and that means refusing to delay when you promised yourself progress. This isn't about rushing, it's about intention. You don't have to do everything at once, you just have to act the moment your mind tries to stall. That's the rule. When hesitation appears, don't debate it, don't analyze it, don't sit with it, just move. One step, one action, one decision. Break the pattern before it becomes a habit. You don't need more time, you need less hesitation. Most people think they're waiting for the right moment, but they're really practicing avoidance, and whatever you practice becomes permanent. So stop practicing delay, practice execution. Practice being the person who moves even when it's uncomfortable. Practice courage through action. Delay steals your peace. When something needs to be done and you avoid it, it stays in your mind. It drains your energy quietly. That message unsent, that decision unmade, that task unfinished. They linger, and every reminder adds stress. But when you handle things right away, your mind clears. You create space for focus, creativity, and confidence. This isn't about perfection, it's about presence. Delay traps you in someday, and someday doesn't exist. There is only now, and now is where everything begins. When you train yourself to act the moment hesitation appears, you reclaim control. You stop being ruled by emotion. You stop waiting for life to feel right. You create the right feeling by doing the right thing. Everything you want requires action. Goals don't respond to intention, they respond to execution. Delay lets opportunities pass. Energy fades, momentum dies. That's why you must act faster than your excuses. You can think later. Right now, you move, you start, you show up. That's the difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck. You have more control than you realize, but control comes through action. You can't think your way into change. You have to move your way there, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's unfamiliar. Your next level is hidden behind the thing you keep avoiding, and the only way forward is through that resistance, without delay. So the next time your mind says, "Do it later," recognize it for what it is, not a reason, a test of commitment, a test of priorities, a test of mindset. And the right answer is always action. Not perfect action, just action. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can, but move. This is the habit that changes everything. Acting when your mind tells you to delay isn't easy, but it's essential. If you can win that moment, you can take control of your progress. And when you repeat it often enough, your brain begins to change. Delay loses its hold, excuses lose their influence. You start living like someone who follows through, every time, not just once. And that matters. That's the kind of person who succeeds. That's the kind of life worth building, one action at a time. Chapter 5. Push yourself to finish what you start today. Finishing what you begin is how character is built. It's how you stand apart. Anyone can start something, and most people do. Starting is easy. Finishing is what makes the difference. Real growth doesn't happen in the excitement of a fresh beginning. It happens in the quiet moments when staying with it feels difficult. That's when you discover who you truly are. There will always be something trying to pull you away. Distractions, doubt, boredom, discomfort. They show up the moment consistency is required. You have to train yourself to stay focused even when the excitement fades, even when it's harder than you expected, even when you'd rather stop.
You have to develop the discipline that says, if I started this today, I will finish it today. When you leave things unfinished, it weighs on you. You might tell yourself it's not a big deal. You might think you'll get back to it later. But incomplete work becomes mental noise. It lingers, it creates pressure, it steals your focus, and over time, it quietly erodes your confidence. You start doubting your ability to follow through. You begin seeing yourself as someone who quits, and that belief slowly becomes a habit. You have to fight that, because how you handle small things often becomes how you handle everything. If you cut corners on the little tasks, you'll do the same with the big ones. That's why finishing matters. Not for praise, not for rewards, but for the integrity it builds within you. It proves to you that you don't need to feel perfect to do what you said you would do. Some days you won't feel like it. Your mind will come up with every excuse. You're tired, you've done enough, no one's watching, it can wait. That's when you push, not because it's convenient, but because your standards are stronger than your mood. Your standards are the agreement you make with yourself, and when you break that agreement too often, self-trust starts to fade.
Every time you finish what you start, even something small, you gain a mental edge. That edge carries into other areas of your life. Finish a workout, and you show up stronger elsewhere. Complete a project, and you approach the next challenge with more confidence. Clean up what you've been avoiding, and your thinking becomes clearer. Follow-through becomes who you are. There's power in doing what you said you'd do, especially when it's hard and no one is holding you accountable. That's when you become your own leader. That's when discipline becomes internal. And when discipline comes from within, you become hard to stop. You don't need a perfect system or endless motivation. You need urgency, not panic, but presence. You look at your day and ask, what needs to be done? Then you do it. Not tomorrow, not later, today. And you do it completely. No half-finished tasks, no loose ends. You finish because that's the person you're becoming. Completion brings clarity. When you see something through to the end, your mind closes the loop. It registers it as done. That closure creates mental space to move forward, but when things are left unfinished, your mind keeps returning to them. That constant mental pull drains energy, and wasted energy is one of the main reasons people feel stuck. You can change that. You can reclaim your energy by finishing what you've been avoiding. You can feel lighter by completing the task that's been hanging over you. And as you start finishing more things, your identity shifts. You begin seeing yourself as reliable, focused, and capable. Someone who closes the gap between intention and action. Momentum is built one completed task at a time. It doesn't have to be dramatic, it just has to be done. If you said you'd clean your desk, clean it. If you plan to study for an hour, do the hour. If you started writing, don't stop halfway. Give yourself the gift of completion. This isn't about perfection, it's about commitment. You don't need flawless execution, you need follow-through. This mindset also teaches you to work with time instead of fighting it. Many people waste time because they restart the same tasks again and again, half finished today, restarted tomorrow. That cycle drains energy and progress. Finishing breaks it. That kind of stop and start behavior kills momentum, but when you finish today, you free tomorrow. You move forward instead of repeating the same cycle. That's how progress is made. People who get ahead don't carry unfinished work into the next day. They handle it and move on. Start treating everything you do as a chance to reinforce your standards. When you finish what you start, your standard rises. When you quit early, it drops. It really is that simple. No need to overthink it. Finish the task. Don't analyze. Don't wait for motivation. Don't stall. Act. Complete it. Move forward. This mindset builds emotional strength. You stop hoping things will work out and start creating results through action. You don't need more discipline tomorrow. You need better decisions today. Decisions to push when pausing feels easier. Decisions to focus when distractions compete for your attention. Decisions to close what you opened. These small wins matter more than you realize. They stack up. They become your edge. They're the reason you walk into new challenges with confidence.
Most people stay trapped in a loop of unfinished work. You don't have to. You can break that loop today with one task, one moment, one push. Remind yourself that the relief of finishing is always better than the regret of stopping short. Growth doesn't come from easy beginnings. It comes from difficult endings. You've started many things in your life. Some you completed, some you didn't. That's okay. But from now on, make this decision. If something gets your time today, it gets your full attention. You don't leave it incomplete. You don't pass it to tomorrow. You finish it now.
That's how you earn your own respect. That's how you stay mentally clear. That's how you win. Quietly, consistently, completely. Push yourself, not because you're behind, but because you're capable of more. Push because today matters. Push because you're done stopping halfway. The version of you that you want to become doesn't live in delay, doubt, or unfinished work. That version lives in action, clarity, and completion, and it's built today by what you finish. Chapter 6. Say no to what drains your energy. Learning to say no can protect your peace, sharpen your focus, and return control to your life. Every day, your attention is pulled in multiple directions. People want your time. Screens demand your focus. Habits sneak into your routine without adding value. And slowly, your energy gets drained by things that don't move you forward. Not because you're weak, but because you were never taught how to set firm boundaries. Most people think energy only comes from sleep, food, and rest. But your energy is also shaped by your boundaries, your priorities, and what you allow into your life. When you say yes to everything, you spread yourself thin. There's no space for focus, no room to recharge, and no time for what truly matters. Saying yes might feel polite, it might feel easier, but every unnecessary yes quietly drains your personal power. Over time, those small leaks leave you exhausted, distracted, and unmotivated. That's not bad luck, that's unmanaged energy. Your energy isn't unlimited. You wake up with a finite supply each day, and how you spend it matters. You can give it to negativity, endless scrolling, pointless worries, or you can protect it and use it to build something meaningful. You can't do both. You can't chase growth while feeding distractions. That's why saying no is so powerful, not from anger, but from self-respect. Some of the biggest breakthroughs don't come from doing more, they come from removing what drains you. Unnecessary conversations, meaningless tasks, toxic dynamics, mindless routines, it all adds up. It's not just about what you do, it's about what you allow. If you're not careful, your days fill with things that exhaust you without giving anything back. Saying no creates space. It clears your path. It reminds you that your time and energy have value. You're not here to live on autopilot. You're not here to be available to everything. You're here to grow, to build, to move forward. That means being selective, knowing what fuels you and what empties you, and acting on that awareness. Cutting off what doesn't belong in your life isn't selfish, it's necessary, it's strategic, it's growth. Many people feel tired, not because they've done too much, but because they've done too much of what doesn't matter. They've agreed to every request, accepted every interruption, allowed their goals to be buried under obligations. That cycle ends when you say no, not with guilt, but with clarity. If something drains you, ask yourself why it's still in your life. Is it fear of disappointing someone? A need to appear agreeable? A belief that your needs come last? Those reasons feel reasonable, but they cost you in the long run. Because every time you abandon yourself for others, you lose a piece of who you are. Your energy isn't casual, it's your life force. It fuels your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions. And once you start protecting it, everything else begins to change. If you keep giving your energy to the wrong things, you won't have enough left for what truly matters. That's how people slowly drift away from their potential, not because they're lazy, but because they're constantly exhausted by things they never stop to question.
That's why you need to pause and take inventory. Ask yourself, what drains me without giving anything back? What makes me feel smaller instead of stronger? What pulls me away from my priorities? That's where your no belongs. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means becoming intentional. You decide where your attention goes. You decide who gets access to your time.
You decide what deserves a response and what doesn't, because every choice either strengthens you or wears you down. And you don't need to feel guilty for protecting your peace. The people who respect your boundaries are the ones who deserve a place in your life. Saying no is also how you sharpen focus. When you stop letting everything into your day, you create space to concentrate. You move from reacting to life to leading it. You stop bouncing between tasks and start finishing what you begin. In a noisy world, that level of focus is a superpower, and it's built by removing excess, not adding more. When you say no to distractions, you say yes to growth. When you say no to draining people, you say yes to peace. When you say no to pointless habits, you say yes to progress. This isn't about being cold, it's about being committed. Ask yourself what kind of life you want to build and what's standing in the way of it. If something doesn't align with your values, your purpose, or your priorities, it doesn't deserve your energy. Learn to trust the signals your mind and body give you. That heavy feeling, that tension, that frustration, it's not random, it's feedback. It's your system telling you something doesn't belong. Don't ignore it. Don't bury it under obligations. Listen and make the choice that protects your energy. People will always ask for your time. The world will always offer new distractions, but not everything deserves a yes. Some invitations need to be declined. Some conversations need to end. Some habits need to be removed, and not later, now. Because the longer you wait to say no, the more resentment builds toward the things you allowed to take over your life. This is how a new mindset forms. One built on clarity, not overload. On intention, not chaos. On guarding energy like the precious resource it is. Because it is. You don't get unlimited energy. You get what you protect. If you start each day asking, what will protect my energy today? You'll make better choices. You'll create better routines. You'll move with purpose instead of pressure. From now on, look at every request, habit, and situation and ask, does this build me or drain me? If it drains you, say no. Not later, not when it's convenient, now. Say it calmly, say it confidently, say it knowing that every time you protect your energy, you create space for growth, focus, and clarity. That's how everything begins to change, one powerful no at a time. Chapter 7. Learn one new thing that sharpens your thinking. Learning one new thing that sharpens your thinking is a habit that can completely change your life if you commit to it daily. Not occasionally, not only when it's easy, every day. One idea, one insight, one perspective that challenges how you think. Practiced consistently, this habit strengthens your mind in ways you won't see immediately, because what you feed your mind becomes the foundation of your beliefs, your choices, and your results. Your mind, like your body, needs daily training. Ignore it, and it grows dull. It defaults to old patterns. You react instead of thinking. You assume instead of learning. But when you choose mental growth, you step into a different way of living, more aware, more intentional, more prepared. You see more clearly. You respond with control. You become sharper, steadier, and more resilient. And it starts with learning, one step at a time. You don't need to read a full book every day or attend endless seminars. You just need consistency. Learn a principle about discipline, discover a better way to manage your time, understand how habits really work, study how successful people think and act, expose yourself to ideas that make you uncomfortable because growth lives just beyond what you already know. There's a cost to staying mentally stuck. When you stop learning, you repeat. You make the same mistakes. You fall into familiar traps. Progress slows, not because you aren't trying, but because you're operating with outdated thinking. The world changes quickly. Problems evolve. Opportunities shift. If your thinking doesn't grow, you fall behind, not in comparison to others, but in relation to your own potential. Sharp thinking gives you an advantage in every area of life. It helps you make better decisions. It keeps emotions from running the show. It prepares you for what's next before it arrives. It gives you the ability to handle problems without panic. It helps you tell the difference between what feels urgent and what truly matters. It puts you in control of your focus, and that control creates real freedom. Freedom from confusion, freedom from frustration, freedom from the mental chaos that keeps so many people stuck. But that kind of clarity doesn't happen by accident. It's built, it's sharpened, it's developed by learning something useful every single day. You can't wait for life to teach you everything the hard way. You have to take responsibility for your growth. No one is coming to hand you a better mindset. You build it by choosing better information. That learning can come from anywhere. A podcast, a thoughtful article, a few pages of a book, a meaningful conversation with someone more experienced, or even reflecting deeply on something you went through yesterday. The source doesn't matter. The discipline does. The commitment to growth does. The willingness to think beyond the surface does. That's what separates people who evolve from those who stay stuck. Every day gives you a chance to upgrade your mind, but you have to choose it. You have to decide, today I'm going to feed my mind something that makes me stronger. Do that consistently, and it adds up to real change. It won't feel dramatic at first, but weeks pass, months go by, and suddenly you realize you don't think the same way anymore. You're calmer, more patient, more strategic. You're not shaken by small problems. You're not making impulsive decisions. You've grown mentally, and it shows in your results. Learning also builds confidence. The more you understand, the less you doubt yourself. You stop guessing and start acting with clarity. You carry yourself with quiet certainty, not because you know everything, but because you're becoming wiser. And wisdom gives you courage. It helps you speak clearly, lead effectively, and face challenges directly instead of avoiding them. That kind of confidence doesn't come from wishing. It comes from preparation, from knowing you've trained your mind to handle what life throws at you. Most people stop learning once school ends. They assume they've done enough. But life always asks for more, and if you don't choose to keep learning, life will teach you through mistakes, setbacks, and regret. You can avoid much of that by learning now, before the crisis, before the failure, before the regret. That's how smart people operate. They stay ahead because they never stop growing. Life rewards those who show up mentally prepared, focused, steady, and strong. They don't collapse under pressure because they've trained their minds. They don't get lost in drama because they've developed perspective. They don't fall apart when things go wrong because they've learned how to respond, not react. That strength is built one lesson at a time. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to stay curious, stay hungry, stay humble enough to admit you don't know everything, and strong enough to go find the answers. Make that part of who you are. Be the person who doesn't let a day pass without learning something. The person who sees every situation as a lesson. The person who asks questions, seeks truth, and stays mentally ready. Because life won't wait for you to catch up. Learning sharpens your awareness. You begin to notice what others miss. You see connections. You anticipate problems before they happen. You adapt faster. That awareness becomes your advantage. It keeps you alert. It helps you move with purpose. It strengthens your presence because your mind is no longer cluttered. It's clear, focused, and sharp. But this only happens when learning becomes a habit. One new thing every day.
It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be consistent and meaningful. Your mindset is your most powerful tool. Treat it with respect. Train it. Protect it. Feed it well. So decide today. No more mental autopilot. No more going through the day without strengthening your mind. No more settling for outdated thinking. If you want a better life, you need better thoughts. If you want better results, you need better strategies. And if you want to grow, you must learn daily, intentionally, and consistently. That's how you become who you're meant to be. That's how you grow strong from the inside out. One lesson a day, one idea that challenges you, one insight that makes you better. That's all it takes. And once you start, you won't want to go back, because the more you grow, the clearer life becomes, the sharper you think, the more confident you feel, and the stronger you live, one day, one lesson at a time. Chapter 8. Move your body before your mood pulls you down. This habit sounds simple, and it is, but it's one of the most underrated ways to lift yourself out of mental and emotional lows. When your mood starts to dip, your energy drops, your thoughts become foggy, and everything feels heavier than it really is. Small issues feel bigger, self-doubt creeps in, momentum disappears. That's when your mind starts working against you. And if you don't interrupt that pattern early, it can pull you into a state that's difficult to escape. But there's a powerful tool always available to you: movement. When you move your body, you change your state. You create momentum without waiting to feel motivated. You don't need to feel better first, you just need to get up. Physical movement signals your brain that something is shifting, that you're not stuck, that a reset is happening. It doesn't have to be intense. You don't need a long workout or a gym session. Sometimes it's as simple as standing up, stretching, walking around, stepping outside, doing a few body movements, swinging your arms, or changing your posture. What matters is acting before the low mood takes control. Low moods don't usually appear all at once. They build slowly, from inactivity, isolation, negative thinking, or a lack of direction. The longer you stay still, the stronger those feelings become. You sit inside your thoughts. You replay the same mental stories. You overanalyze everything. But movement breaks that loop. It interrupts the downward spiral and creates space for new thoughts and perspectives to enter. Movement shifts your attention out of your head and into the present. Your breathing deepens, blood starts flowing, your body wakes up, and your mind follows. Most people wait until they feel better before they act. They tell themselves, "I'll move when my mood improves." But the truth is, your mood improves because you move. That's the shift. You don't wait for energy, you create it. You don't wait for clarity, you move your way into it. Once you start, you realize you weren't as trapped as you thought. The problems may still be there, but your ability to handle them increases. That's what movement gives you, not instant solutions, but strength. There's a reason a simple walk can ease stress. There's a reason light movement can calm your nervous system. Your body carries emotion, it stores tension. When you stay still while feeling low, that tension builds. But when you move, your system responds, the pressure begins to release. Slowly, you shift from stuck to steady. Your body and mind are not separate, they're deeply connected. What you do physically affects how you think. If you slump, keep your head down, and isolate yourself, your mind mirrors that posture. But when you stand taller, open up, move with intention, and breathe deeply, your mindset starts to change too. That's why movement isn't just about fitness, it's about emotional regulation. It's about protecting your energy when life feels heavy. You can turn this into a daily habit. Don't wait until you feel low. Use movement throughout your day to keep your mindset strong. Stretch when your thoughts get loud. Move when you feel yourself spiraling. Let your body become the signal it knows when something needs to shift. You don't need complicated routines or special equipment. You need awareness and intention. When your mood starts to sink, don't sit and hope it passes. Get up, move, breathe, take control. That's personal responsibility, not avoiding bad days, but knowing how to respond when they come. Movement gives you that edge. It gives you a way out when your thoughts try to trap you, and it builds momentum, one small action at a time. A few steps become a short walk. A quick stretch turns into a few minutes of flow. One push-up sparks a burst of energy, and before you realize it, your focus comes back. Your mind clears. Your goals don't feel so distant. You're back in control, not because everything is suddenly perfect, but because you chose movement instead of sitting in the storm. You won't always feel like doing it. That's normal. Do it anyway. Movement is a form of discipline. It's self-care that builds resilience. The more you train yourself to respond with action instead of emotion, the stronger you become.
You stop letting moods decide how your day goes. You develop a grounded mindset that keeps moving forward no matter what. And here's the best part. Movement is always available. Wherever you are, whatever's happening. You don't need permission, you don't need a plan. You just need to choose. When your energy feels off, move. When your mood dips, move. When your thoughts start racing, move. It's not a cure for everything, but it's a trigger for change. It's the start of a better moment. You don't need to fight your feelings. You need to redirect them. You don't need to ignore stress. You need to release it. Movement gives your emotions an outlet. It gives your mind a break from itself. It pulls you back into the present, and in the present, you make better decisions. You breathe, you reset. Sometimes that's all it takes. Make this part of your life. Don't move only when you feel good. Move when you don't. Move when you're stuck. Move when your mind says not today. Move because it's your way of saying, I'm still in control. That choice can save you from slipping into moods that steal your days. This habit doesn't just lift you in low moments, it makes you mentally tougher overall. It sharpens your awareness, it strengthens emotional control, it gives you another tool to handle pressure, and the more you use it, the more natural it becomes. Movement becomes your anchor, your reset, your quiet answer to a loud mind. The days you least want to move are often the days you need it most. Those are the moments that decide whether you spiral or stabilize. So don't wait, don't delay, don't let your energy sink while you wait for motivation. Move before the mood takes over. Change your state through action. Use your body to shift your mind. Because the strongest people aren't the ones who never feel low. They're the ones who know how to lift themselves out of it. One step, one movement, one choice at a time. Chapter 9. Look back at today and ask what improved. That simple question, practiced daily, can completely change how you grow, how you think, and how you move through life. At the end of the day, when the noise fades and the work is done, you get a moment to check in with yourself, not to measure how busy you were, but to see whether you actually made progress. Being active isn't the same as improving, and if you never pause to reflect, you won't know whether you're moving forward or just running in circles. Improvement doesn't always look like big wins or obvious success. Most days it shows up quietly in better choices, calmer reactions, stronger discipline, or how quickly you recovered after a setback. But if you don't stop to notice those moments, you miss them. And when you miss them, it starts to feel like nothing is working, like you're stuck, like your effort doesn't matter.
That's how discouragement sneaks in, not because you aren't growing, but because you weren't recognizing it. This habit isn't about judging yourself or hunting for mistakes. It's about noticing what went right, what improved, even slightly. Did you show more patience than yesterday? Did you finish something you usually avoid? Did you choose focus over distraction? Did you manage your attitude when things didn't go your way? These small moments build character, and when you take time to acknowledge them, you begin to trust your own growth. That belief matters. It keeps you moving when progress feels slow. It gives you fuel when results aren't obvious. It reminds you that every day counts. But you won't see any of that unless you pause and ask, what improved today? It's not about how full your schedule was. It's about whether you became a little better. Because real success is self-mastery, how you manage your time, your energy, your mindset, and your choices. And the only way to keep improving in those areas is through honest, consistent reflection. When you make this daily check-in a habit, you gain something most people never develop: awareness. You stop drifting. You stop repeating the same patterns. You stop letting days pass without meaning. You take ownership, and ownership creates momentum. Most people live on autopilot, just going through the motions. They end the day tired, scattered, and disconnected from what they're trying to build. They hope things will improve, but they don't review anything. They don't reflect. They don't learn from their own experiences. And because of that, they remain stuck. But when you look back on your day with intention, everything changes. You start studying your own progress. You become your own guide. You notice patterns, you recognize gaps,
And slowly, you begin building better habits, one decision at a time. This habit doesn't take long, just 5 minutes is enough. Sit quietly, no phone, no distractions, just you and one question. What improved today? Write it down. Say it out loud. Walk through your day from morning to night. Where were you strong? Where did you hesitate but still move forward? Where did you show up better than yesterday? That's how growth becomes visible. And once you can see it, you start wanting more of it. You push yourself not to be perfect, but to make progress. You won't improve in big ways every day, and that's okay. Some days, progress looks like staying calm when you usually react. Some days, it's showing up when you wanted to quit. Other days, it's saying no to something that once controlled you. The goal isn't flawlessness, it's improvement. Even if it's just 1%, even if it's one moment. If you improved your attitude, your focus, your discipline, or your choices, you moved forward. That counts. This habit also builds honesty, not the kind you perform for others, but the kind you face alone. When you review your day, you see clearly where time was wasted, where effort was avoided, where you gave your best, and where you didn't. That honesty doesn't create shame, it creates growth. Because now you know what to adjust, you know where to aim, you know how to wake up tomorrow and do a little better. Growth is easy to miss when life moves fast, but the most meaningful changes happen quietly, through daily effort, steady habits, and small improvements. Reflection keeps you aware of that journey. Without it, you forget how far you've come, you miss the lessons. But with it, you carry wisdom forward and step into the next day more prepared. This isn't about pressure, it's about awareness. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be present. Aware enough to notice what's working, honest enough to admit what isn't, committed enough to keep going, humble enough to learn from your own life. Make this habit personal. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't try to impress anyone. This is your path, your standard, your growth. At the end of the day, don't ask what the world thinks. Ask what you know to be true.
Did I grow today? Did I take a step forward? Did I do something that made me stronger? If yes, acknowledge it. If not, adjust. Either way, prepare to try again tomorrow. Reflection clears your mind. It keeps your goals alive. It sharpens your actions and makes your time more intentional. This is how steady improvement is built. Not through dramatic moves, but through daily awareness, small wins, and honest reflection. So no matter how the day went, whether it felt like a win or a setback, don't let it pass without asking the question. Look back. Find what improved. Learn from the moments. Let that awareness guide your next step. That's how you grow without burning out. That's how you stay connected to your purpose. That's how you build a mindset that gets stronger every single day. Chapter 10. Stick with good habits until they feel natural. This is how real change happens, not by trying to overhaul your life overnight, but by staying consistent long enough for the right behaviors to become automatic. Most people quit too early. They try something for a few days or weeks, and when it starts to feel uncomfortable or inconvenient, they stop. Not because it doesn't work, but because they expected it to feel easy too soon. If you truly want to change your life, you need to understand this. The breakthrough comes after repetition. Results are earned by sticking with a habit until it becomes part of who you are. The beginning is always the hardest. When a habit is new, your mind resists it. Your body resists it. Doubt shows up. You question whether it's worth the effort. That's the test. If you push through that early resistance and keep showing up, things begin to shift. Not because the habit changes, but because you do. Your mindset adapts. Your identity adjusts. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop debating. You simply act. There's real power in doing the same right thing day after day. You stop arguing with yourself. You stop overthinking. You wake up and do what needs to be done. That's when a habit becomes natural. That's when change becomes permanent. It becomes your standard,
It becomes how you move through life without having to convince yourself every time. Most people get trapped in a cycle of starting and stopping. They begin with motivation, feel excited, make promises, but then life interrupts, distractions appear, old habits pull them back, and instead of staying consistent, they pause. They let emotion take over discipline. Each stop resets their progress and keeps them stuck in the phase where everything feels forced. That's why nothing sticks. They never stayed long enough for the habit to feel natural. You have to push past that point. You have to show up on the days when it doesn't feel rewarding, when it feels like work, when no one notices what you're doing, when you don't even see results yet. That's the space where habits become solid. You don't need big wins every day. You need quiet consistency, the kind of effort that seems small in the moment but compounds over time. When you stick with something long enough, it stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like routine. You stop relying on motivation because the behavior becomes familiar. It fits into your life the way brushing your teeth or getting dressed does. You don't think about it, you just do it. That's the goal. That's where real power lives, in doing the right thing automatically, without needing a reason each time. You don't have to be perfect, you have to be persistent. You will slip, you will miss a day, but the difference between people who change and people who don't is how quickly they return. Those who succeed don't wait for the perfect moment to restart. They pick it back up without guilt and keep moving. One missed day doesn't destroy a habit. Quitting does. The key is to treat habits as part of who you are, not a temporary challenge. Rewiring routines takes time. You're not just adding new actions, you're replacing old patterns. You're teaching your mind and body that this is the new standard. And yes, it's uncomfortable at first.
That discomfort is a sign you're leaving the old version of yourself behind. Every time you show up and follow through, you reinforce that change. You prove to yourself that you're becoming someone different. You don't need massive effort to change your life. You need consistency in small actions that move you forward. A little discipline each day outperforms short bursts of motivation followed by long gaps. Show up when it's hard. Show up when it's boring. Show up when you'd rather do something else. That's how habits stick. That's how they become real. People often ask how long it takes to form a habit. There's no universal timeline. The truth is, it takes as long as it takes for the habit to feel natural. For some, that's weeks. For others, months. The timeline doesn't matter. What matters is staying with it until you no longer have to think about it, until it's not something you try to do, but something you simply do. One day, you'll notice the shift. You'll act without resistance, without delay, without inner struggle. That's when the habit has taken root. It's no longer a goal, it's your way of life. That moment doesn't come by chance. It comes because you stayed through the friction. You kept going after the excitement faded. You showed up with quiet discipline. Habits shape your future before you ever arrive there. They're the foundation beneath every result you want. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems, and those systems are built on habits. If you want growth, build habits that support growth. If you want peace, build habits that reduce stress. If you want strength, build habits that challenge you. Once you've chosen the right habits, your only job is to repeat them until they become second nature. That's how change becomes permanent, not through constant force, but through consistency long enough for it to become automatic. And when that happens, you stop battling your habits. They work for you. But you do have to stay committed long enough for those habits to take root. That's where most people give up. They quit in the middle of the transition. They walk away during the tension. They don't realize the hardest phase often comes right before things begin to feel easier. So stay with it, even when results aren't visible yet, even when no one notices your effort, even when it feels repetitive. That repetition is doing important work. It's shaping a new version of you, more focused, more reliable, more consistent. One day, you'll look back and realize you don't even think about the habit anymore. You're not trying to do it, you're simply living it. It's part of who you are now.
And that's the goal, to reach a place where doing the right thing doesn't feel like pressure, it feels normal. You build routines that protect your energy, strengthen your discipline, and move you forward without constant effort. You don't have to force it forever, but you do have to stay long enough for it to stick. When you commit to good habits long enough, they carry you when motivation fades. They keep you steady when life becomes unpredictable. They remind you of the person you've become. Stay with the process until the process becomes part of you. That's the moment habits stop feeling like effort and start feeling like identity. That's when your life begins running on a new system, one built on strength, consistency, and growth. You're no longer waiting for change, you're living it, one day at a time, one habit at a time, until it's simply who you are.